Distinguished delegates, please sit down, Chief Alamieseigha. You are quite right in your observation. His father died 2 days ago, and he still decided to come and take part in this debate. We're all human. I consulted with the chairman and decided to use my common sense to take him. Is different from people who perhaps were not here because they were late coming to the hall. We weigh everything based on the merit of the case. So really, I wasn't being disrespectful to you by calling on him to speak. It was the circumstances of his absence that led to that. Thank you. Chief DSP, please.
Mr. Chairman and fellow delegates, Mr. President's speech was not only, once again, my name is Chief DSP Alamieyeseigha, a Nigerian. Mr. President's speech was not only revolutionary but statesmanly. He was able to capture all the issues that have bedeviled this country since amalgamation in 1914 in that speech. I believe those that brought us together as a nation, there was a spirit, divine spirit behind that. And that is why today we are celebrated among African countries. In my interaction with some African leaders, they've told me that if they are given second chance to come to this world, they will obviously come to Nigeria. The problems of this country, indeed, are man-made. The nature of government, the structure of government are the main problems. And I think the president has given us the platform as Nigerians to revisit what are our successes and failures for the past 100 years. We have nowhere to go. We should deliberate with open heart. We should discuss things that will unite us as a country. I want to say that, Mr. Chairman, when the history of a new Nigeria will be written, President Goodluck's name will be in an indelible ink for generations to come. Please extend my hearty congratulations for this vision, for bringing us together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Honorable Salvador Moshood Adegoke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Honorable Salvador Moshood Adegoke. I represent socio-political and national and ethnic nationality from Lagos, Southwest. If you check page 12 of Mr. President's speech, it says an average Nigerian sees every part of the country as home. I congratulate Mr. President for convening this because he wants reality to prevail. And he now advises and implores that this conference to further turn our diversity and plurality into unique national resources for strength and greatness. In order to turn this diversity and plurality into unique national resources for greatness, we must be careful, as he warned us, not to rubbish the rights, history, culture, and tradition of our ethnic nationalities. Example is that of Lagos, that has the culture of unique hospitality to guests. A Lagosian can leave his bed for guests to sleep while he sleeps on the floor. This is why Lagos has been historically be the carer of other people from every part of this great country. Mr. President's speech has also advised and cautioned us not to take advantage of such hospitality. This advice always goes to the people that were not appreciative of the Lagos taking care of their people in Lagos, even without paying taxes. Even without paying taxes and getting almost nothing extra more than other on VAT, despite heavy VAT generation from Lagos. Yet, some ethnic units are threatening the ethnic right of Lagos. Mr. President is now challenging the conference to maintain seeing every part of the country as home, but to make sure such right is not tampered on. In a nutshell, what we need in this country is a proper devolution of power.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there Mr. Kasim Akonde? Mr. Kasim Akonde. Okay. General Tanko Ayuba. Honorable Justice Baba Alkali Baba. Honorable Justice Baba.
Mr. Chairman, sir, honorable delegates, Mr. Chairman, honorable delegates, I was attracted by what I consider declaration by the Honorable President of Nigeria when he said to Nigeria and to the whole world that he has no hidden agenda. My understanding of that statement is we are given free hand to discuss all issues except the one excluded. In my view, this meeting and conference will succeed on one condition, that we are sincere in our discussion, not to say one thing when you have a different matter in your mind. We should put the country in Nigeria first before everything, not your village, not your society. I think if we do that, we will succeed. So I urge that we continue with our discussion, but we should be sincere with ourselves. Nigeria is a great country. It's known by everybody. And from the caliber of people gathered here today, in fact, some, I had their name when I was in primary school. When I was in primary school, I'm sorry to embarrass Chief Richard Akinjide. I saw him in Maiduguri when we handled a case. I was just a toddler as a lawyer. And the way he treated us, there was no bias. I remember that, and I will continue to remember it. If all our leaders will treat us as Nigerians, we treat each other as Nigerians, then we will have the best for Nigeria. The caliber of people in this conference, I think you can never get it anywhere, even in the developed countries. We have a lot of experienced people, and if we come together, only God knows how far we'll push our dear country in Nigeria. Thank you, my Lord.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Hajia Nafisatu Babajo. Hajia Nafisatu.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, I am Nafisatu Babajo, one of the delegates from Kaduna State. Mr. President's speech, when I read through after the inauguration, what came through to me was a conscious effort to encourage bridge building. I noticed that national consensus was mentioned about 3 times in his speech, and patriotism was also mentioned a number of times. I think we are all agreed that the session we had yesterday was the best since we came for this assignment. And this happened because the distinguished wise men and women that had a meeting on our behalf were able to reach a consensus. I think they have proved that if we open our hearts and we do whatever we are to do genuinely and sincerely, we can indeed reach consensus. So I urge us all to continue with that spirit as we continue with this very, very important assignment. Mr. President also reminded us that our being together in one country in spite of our diversity is divine. We all know that God Almighty never ever makes a mistake. So I believe that if we bear this at the back of our minds, each time we have any problem, it will help us to brace up to meet up the challenges. Because when we are alive, there will always be challenges because it is part of living. I noticed that Mr. President also highlighted some key issues, about 11 of them on page 16 to 17. I agree totally that they are very, very important. But it is my humble view that at this point of our life as a nation, our biggest challenge to my mind is the security challenges that we are having all over the country. As has been mentioned by the retired AIG, we have different types of challenges in different parts of this great country. But it is sad and very disturbing, the wanton destruction of property, families being displaced and traumatized. I think it is something that we must give top priority. Another issue that we must address is the youth issues, education and unemployment. To do this, I suggest that, as has been suggested by another member, I will just conclude this, that we should diversify our economy, we should diversify our revenue base by exploring all our resources. We are tremendously blessed and we are so endowed in this country. It is so sad that our young ones who are our future are so helpless and hopeless. Drug abuse is also very rampant. These are issues that we must address because these young ones are our future. If we don't do anything about it, it will be like we have no future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Hajia. Next speaker is Lordship Bishop Joseph D. Bakobiri.
Chairman of this conference, esteemed delegates, and Bishop Joseph Bagobri of the Catholic Diocese of Kafanchan in Kaduna State, one of the 6 members representing the Christian Association of Nigeria at this conference. Let me first join the myriads of those who have spoken before me in applauding our president for a beautiful and forward-looking inaugural address that he gave us at the beginning of this conference. My intervention, Mr. Chairman, is centered on paragraph 2 on page 14, where the president speaks of the inadequacies of the 1999 Constitution and how many Nigerians are calling for the fine-tuning of this Constitution so that it may become a more acceptable document to guide our social and political life in relationships towards stronger, greater, and a prosperous Nigeria. For those who have spoken before me and have submitted that there is no problem with the Constitution, but the problem is with the implementation, they will not find this position of the president easy to take. Mr. Chairman, the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999, in section 10, prohibits government from adopting a state religion. But this same Constitution, going further, in section 244 up to section 279, made provisions for religious courts for 2 religions and left out one, namely Christianity. One of the things we have come to this conference is to see to the possibility of making right what is wrong in the Nigerian Constitution. For unless the inconsistencies, the imbalances that were either smuggled into the Constitution through the back door and have become very contentious and have been the reasons of a lot of bad blood, disaffection among Nigerians, unless these are redressed and equity, fairness, justice is given to all, then whatever we are doing here will not bring any solution to our problems. Let me just state here, Mr. Chairman, that a closer look at the Constitution will show that for the people of African primary religion, the name customary courts is mentioned 68 times in the Constitution. For people of the Islamic faith, the name Sharia is mentioned 73 times. The name Islamic is mentioned 28 times. The name Qadi is mentioned 13 times. But the name Christian or Christianity is not mentioned even once. The purpose of our coming to this conference, which I appeal to all people, and I know this is a matter of consensus, is one, if we are going in on the separation of church and religion, the state and religion, if we are going in for it, as section 10 of the Constitution has said, then we should respect the sanctity of the secularity of our country. But if we want to make government show some favors to religion, then it shall not be done to one to the exclusion of the other. It shall not be done to two to the exclusion of the others. But whatever is done to the other two is also done for Christianity. So the first thing we call for is for the neutrality of government when it comes to religious matters. But where this is not possible, we are asking that the Constitution should be amended to provide or make provisional provisions for the establishment of ecclesiastical courts on the same standing as we have with both the customary and the Sharia. The third option will be that government will allow Islam to operate, Islamic laws, Christian to